Book of Heaven, Volume 6. The 6th of January to the 21st of February 1904. Page 11 to 17. January 6, 1904. The human race is all one family. When someone does some good work and offers it to God, the whole human family participates in that offering and is present to God as if all were offering it. Continuing in my usual state, blessed baby Jesus came, and after he placed himself in my arms and he blessed me with his little hands, he told me, "My daughter, since the human race is all one family, when someone does some good work and offers something to me, the whole human family participates in that offering and is present to me as if all were offering it. As for example, today, as the Magi offered their gifts to me, I had all human generations present in their persons, and all participated in the merit of their good work. The first thing they offered to me was gold, and I, in return, gave them the intelligence and the knowledge of truth. But do you know which gold I want now from souls? Not material gold, no, but spiritual gold. That is, the gold of their will, the gold of their affections, of their desires, of their own tastes, the gold of the whole interior of man. This is all the gold that the soul has, and I want it all for myself. Now, it is almost difficult for the soul to give this to me without sacrificing and mortifying herself. And this is how myrrh, like electric wire, binds the interior of man, renders it more shining, and gives it the shades of multiple colors, giving all species of beauty to the soul. But this is not all. It takes someone who maintains the colors and the freshness always alive, which, almost like fragrance and breeze, blow from within the soul. It takes someone who offers and obtains greater gifts than the ones he gives. And it also takes someone who forces the one who receives and the one who gives to dwell in his own interior, keeping him in continuous conversation and in continuous commerce with himself. So, who does all this? It is prayer, especially the spirit of interior prayer, which knows how to convert into gold, not only the internal works, but also the external works, and this is the incense. February 7, 1904. How difficult it is to find a soul who gives all of herself to God, so that God may give all of himself to her. I spent the whole last month in much suffering, therefore I omitted writing, and as I continue to feel very weak and in suffering, very often a fear comes to me that it isn't that I cannot write, but that I do not want to, and as an excuse I say that I cannot. Indeed, it is true that I feel great repugnance and I must make a great effort to write, and only obedience could conquer me. So, in order to remove any doubt I decided to write, not everything, but only a few words that I remember, to see whether I truly can or cannot. I remember that one day, as I was feeling ill, he told me, "My daughter, what will happen if the music ceases in the world?" And I, "Lord, what music should cease?" And he added, "My beloved, your music." In fact, when the soul suffers for me, prays, repairs, praises, thanks continually, this is continuous music to my hearing, which takes me away from hearing the iniquity of the earth, and therefore from chastising as appropriate. Not only this, but it is music in the human minds, and it diverts them from doing worse things. So, if I take you, would the music not cease? For me it is nothing, because it would be nothing other than transporting it from the earth to heaven, and instead of having it from the earth, I would have it in heaven. But how shall the world go on? Then, I was thinking to myself, these are the usual pretexts so as not to take me. There are so many good souls in the world, who do so much for God, and among all of them I perhaps occupy but the last place, and yet he says that if he takes me the music would cease? There are so many who do it better for him. While I was thinking of this, he came like a flash and added, "My daughter, what you say is true, that there are many good souls who do much for me, but how difficult it is to find one who gives me everything so that I may give all of myself. Some retain a little bit of love of self, some self-esteem, some one affection, be it even for holy people, some a little vanity, some retain a little bit of attachment to the earth, some to interest. In some a little thing, some another, all keep something of their own, and this impedes that everything be divine in them. So, since what comes from them is not fully divine, their music will not be able to produce those effects to my hearing and to the human minds. Therefore, their much doing will not be able to produce those effects, nor please me as much as the little doing of one who keeps nothing for herself, and who gives herself completely to me. February 8, 1904. One of the qualities of Jesus is pain. For one who lives of his most holy will, purgatory does not exist. I remember that another day, as I continued to feel in suffering, I saw the confessor praying our Lord to touch the part where I was suffering so as to have the sufferings mitigate. And blessed Jesus told me, "My daughter, your confessor wants me to touch you to alleviate your pains. But among my many qualities I am also pain, and if I touch you, instead of decreasing, your pain could increase." In fact, the thing in which my humanity delighted the most was suffering, and it still delights in communicating it to those whom it loves. And it seemed that, in reality, he would touch me and make me feel more pain. So I added, "My sweet good, as for myself, I want nothing but your most holy will. I do not look at whether I suffer or I enjoy. Your will is everything for me." And he added, "And this is what I want, this is my design upon you, and this is enough for me and contents me. This is the greatest and most honorable worship that the creature can render me, and that she owes me as her creator, and as the soul does so, it can be said that her mind lives and thinks in my mind. Her eyes, being in mine, look through my eyes, her mouth speaks through my mouth, her heart loves through mine, her hands operate within my own hands, her feet walk within my feet. And I can say, you are my eye, my mouth, my heart, my hands and my feet." And, likewise, the soul can say, "Jesus Christ is my eye, my mouth, my heart, my hands and my feet." Being in this union, not only of wills, but personal, when the soul dies there is nothing left of her to be purged, and therefore purgatory cannot touch her, because purgatory touches those who live outside of me, whether completely or in part. February 12, 1904. When the soul is identified with the humanity of Jesus, none of her works are dispersed. Obedience and the saints want Luisa to remain on earth as victim. Continuing in my usual state, with more suffering, blessed Jesus came, and from all parts of his humanity many rivulets of light came out, which communicated themselves to all the parts of my body. And from these rivulets that I received, as many other rivulets came out of myself, which communicated themselves to the humanity of our Lord. In the meantime I found myself surrounded by a multitude of saints who, looking at me, were saying among themselves, "If the Lord does not concur with a miracle, she will no longer be able to live, because she lacks the vital humors. The circulation of her blood is no longer natural. Therefore, according to the natural laws, she must die." And they were praying blessed Jesus to make this miracle that I might continue to live. And the Lord said to them, "The communications of the rivulets, as you see, means that everything she does, even the natural things, are identified with my humanity. And when I make the soul reach this point, of everything that both soul and body do, nothing is dispersed, everything remains in me. On the other hand, if the soul has not come to identify herself completely with my humanity, many works she does are dispersed. But since I made her reach this point, why can I not take her?" Now, while they were saying this, I said to myself, "It seems that everyone is against me. Obedience does not want me to die. These are praying the Lord not to take me. What do they want from me? I don't know why they want me to be on this earth almost by force, far away from my highest good," and I was all afflicted. While I was thinking of this, Jesus told me, "My daughter, do not want to afflict yourself. The things of the world are most sad, and they get worse and worse. If the point comes for me to give free vent to my justice, I will take you, and then I will no longer listen to anyone." February 21, 1904. The promise of Luisa if she is allowed to die. In the presence of the Most Holy Trinity, of the Queen Mother, Mary Most Holy, of my guardian angel and of the whole celestial court, and in order to obey my confessor, I promise that if the Lord, by his infinite mercy, should give me the grace of letting me die, when I find myself together with my celestial spouse, I will pray and plead for the triumph of the Church and the confusion and conversion of her enemies, that the Catholic party may triumph in our country, and that the Church of St. Cataldo may be reopened for service. That my confessor be freed of his usual sufferings, with a holy freedom of spirit and the sanctity of a true apostle of our Lord, and that, always if the Lord permits it, I will go to him, at least once a month, to confer about celestial things and things pertaining to the good of his soul. I promise all this, for my part, and I swear. February 22, 1904. The great gift of having a victim. This morning, as I was in my usual state, I saw blessed Jesus for just a little, and I saw people who were suffering. I prayed Jesus to free them of those sufferings, even at the cost of suffering myself in their place, and he said to me, "If you want to suffer yourself now that you are victim, fine. Because then, when the victim comes to me, those who surround you, your own country and even kingdoms will see the void that they will feel. Oh, how they will know then, through this loss, the great good I had given them by giving them a victim." February 12, 1904. Luisa speaks with some priests about the Church of St. Cataldo. I had forgotten to say what I am about to write, which I will say now out of obedience, although these are not sure things, but uncertain, because the presence of our Lord was missing. I was outside of myself, and I seemed to find myself inside a church in which there were several venerable priests, and also souls from purgatory and holy people, conversing among themselves about the Church of St. Cataldo, saying that almost with certainty it would be obtained. On hearing this, I said, "How can this be? The other day it was rumored that the chapter had lost the cause. So, through the tribunal it could not be obtained, the town council does not want to give it, and you are saying that it will be obtained?" And they added, "In spite of all these difficulties, indeed it is not lost, and even if they reach the point of laying hands on it to knock it down, it still cannot be considered as lost, because St. Cataldo will know well how to defend his temple. However, poor Corrado if they arrive at this." But while saying this, they repeated, "They have taken away the first things. The crowned lady has already been transported to his house. You, go before Our Lady and pray to her that, having started the grace, she would fulfill it." I went out of that church to go pray, but as I was doing this, I found myself inside myself.